Get ready to feel
the power.
That's Colin, Crandall, myself, Adam Roorda, here with another episode of MMA Power Hour. So glad to have everybody here. I'm actually just the producer and co-host. Colin's the man of the hour, and I always like to bring him in and introduce him. But before that, I always like to shout out Lith Token. When you get a chance and opportunity, head on over to lithtoken.io. We're building some cool things over there. I say we because I'm actually I'm pretty much the guy in charge of the technology and doing a lot of cool things there. We're working with physical NFTs, going to have a full NFT marketplace for everybody. I know a lot of people have heard that NFTs are dead in the water, and they are not. Believe me, things are actually going crazy right now behind the scenes with companies utilizing the technology and actually planning for the next, what we would call a bull run. When that happens, we don't know, but people are preparing, and technology is getting insane. But hey, Colin, this show is not about Lith Token. It's about mixed martial arts, and boy, oh boy.
Some great action. And
you didn't finish it. Boy, oh boy.
Can Florida get sticky? That was Elvis's line. I didn't really read it. Now it's raining. Forgive me that my brain's off a little bit with unusual rain. They say it never rains in Southern California, and that is not true the last couple of days. But yeah, I appreciate that feed. I'll remember it next time, and be sure to finish it correctly. But yeah, Lith Token is great. LitX. If any cryptocurrency is lit, it's Lith Token with the symbol being LitX, correct?
Yeah, LitX, and it's available on Uniswap and Bitmart. Bitmart is available basically globally. It is compliant with U.S. regulations, so that's the centralized exchange, and then Uniswap is the DeFi exchange that it's available on. No financial advice here, but I will tell you we are building some really great things, and we actually have stuff to show for it, and it has not been fully revealed yet. So
that's right. Be smart.
That's all I can really say.
Absolutely. Be smart. Trade on Bitmart. There we go. That's a new one for you. Anyway, so let's talk some MMA. An interesting event, UFC Fight Night this past Saturday. I don't know, Doctor, if you can bring that up.
Not last Saturday's.
No? Okay. So let me talk about a couple of fights. The main event was the women, Brazilians, killers. There's actually a little bit of controversy, not tremendous, but Marina Rodriguez, I know we had thought she would win. She was the favorite. She had looked amazing against all of her opponents. Just barely lost a split decision several years ago to the current champ, Carla Esparza, and she had the height reach advantage, was looking like the better striker. Amanda Lemos still had been killing it, more of a mixed fighter with just as good grappling and striking. It was a battle, but I'll tell you what, Lemos put it on her. She hurt her. She backed her up to the fence, and Amanda, to her credit, not Amanda, Marina had her hands covering her face, and Amanda Lemos threw a barrage of maybe 5-6 punches. 3 of them missed. Maybe one of them grazed a little. One of them hit fairly hard. And for that, the fight was stopped. Rodriguez kind of did complain, not vehemently, but did say, wait a second, I'm still completely here. It did look bad. Lemos was looking absolutely amazing. So question may have been a slightly early stoppage, but it is what it is. I mean, that made a few of us wonder, would they have stopped a man's fight that way? I mean, they may have, even though men are doing a little bit more damage with strikes than women in the MMA. It's just biological, comes down to nature. And so you would have thought that it really didn't seem like Rodriguez was getting hit with absolute bombs. But then again, both these women.
No, this fight went almost exact opposite direction how I thought it would.
Yeah, I know. Most of us, Rodriguez, this was going to be really her coming out party, so to speak. And it looked like that. But Lemos looked better than ever. And I'll tell you, after that fight, I'm sold on Lemos. Amanda Lemos is absolutely a killer. So, but Rodriguez will be back. Fight may have been stopped a little bit early. Neil Magny getting the win over our friend D-Rod Daniel.
Exact opposite how I thought that one would go too.
I know. Magny no matter how bad he looks in some fights, he just comes on third round. Neil Magny owns third rounds in the UFC. The dude's in his mid-30s. He's getting older, but it just seems like he gets stronger in the third round, and he's so determined. I'll tell you what, though, with his win over D-Rod and how good he's looked against a lot of other fighters, just getting owned by Shavkat Rakhmonov does make you wonder how good Shavkat is, and the answer is he's really, really good. A lot of people are saying that Shavkat is really almost like an identical fighter to Khamzat Chimaev, just not as many people know of him, but he's actually got more fights and more stoppages than Chimaev. But anyway, Neil Magny becomes the UFC welterweight with the most stoppages, I think, in UFC history, with that stoppage of D-Rod. And so very, very good fight. Here's an interesting one that I didn't know about until earlier today.
So who held that previously? Was it Stevens?
Jeremy Stevens? No, he never fought welterweight. No, definitely wasn't.
Oh, not welterweight.
No, for welterweight, hard to know who it was. I don't know who it might have been, but I know our friend Chris Lytle had a lot of stoppages years ago.
It's just for welterweight.
Yeah, for welterweight.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, here's an interesting.
Let's go in overall.
Yeah, for sure. Here's an interesting factor, an interesting situation that I was not aware of until earlier today. Derek Minner was a bit of a dog to Shailin Nerdenbecka. A lot of experts, including us, I think, believed Minner was going to show up and look really good there. So here's a strange thing that they've just released happened in that fight with the odds, which is under investigation. Nerdenbecka was maybe 2-1 favorite, just slightly over. Within, I think, a period of hours before the fight, he became a 4-1 favorite. And we know how that fight went down. Immediately, Derek Minner suffered an injury. I think it was to a shoulder, arm, something, and Nerdenbecka just came in there and swarmed him. But it's kind of ironic because it seems like somebody knew that. It seems like somebody or a few somebodies put a large amount of money on Shailin Nerdenbecka, and that's not cool.
Prime example of why they changed the rules.
Right. Fighters can no longer bet on themselves or against themselves at all.
Right.
But yeah, that sucks, and I felt bad for Derek because he's a tough guy and a good dude, and I think heading up and injured, I think he was the better fighter between him and Nerdenbecka, but not.
I'd say really only a couple other fights on.
Yeah, there we go. Nate Maness coming down in weight, man. He just looks so drawn and so dried out, and just, man, that 125-pound range for a guy who's taller than 5'5" is just tough.
You called that one on the weight difference, and I was feeling he was going to be fine no matter what.
You know what? I actually I thought he might be fine, but I knew it could be a problem. I said he was looking very gaunt, but Tagir is for real though, and Tagir is actually training with AKA, I believe, and I didn't know that. Anyway, Grant Dawson against our man Mark Madsen. Grant Dawson was a 2-1 favorite. He's 10 years younger. He's got more wins, more experience. Mark gave it a hell of a shot. Grant just looks like a killer. Grant's got a number next to his name now, and Grant Dawson is like 12-0-1 in the UFC. One draw, and the kid is a killer. Basically, also a good win by our guest for next week, which is going to be Miranda Maverick. Back now, she is on a 2-fight win streak. She lost a couple after having 1-2, so I think she's 4-2 in the UFC and back in a good position. I was very happy to see that. Good win for Polyana Viana, which I expected, just way bigger and stronger than Jinyu Fry. Younger. And then
Johnny Munoz coming up with a pretty good win. I mean,
yeah, definitely good win for Munoz. He is just a tough guy. Benitez had not been, that wasn't against Benitez. That was a different fight, wasn't it? Or was it?
No, that was against Ludwig Shailin.
Shailin, right? Okay, yeah. Headley looking good, and then the newcomer, the girl with a lot of hype behind her, Tamiris Vidal. Looking very, very good as well. So now we're going to talk a little bit about this coming up Saturday's main event in New York City, Madison Square Garden. Israel Adesanya against the man who beat him twice as a kickboxer, once by decision, once by knockout. Go ahead, let's start at the bottom of the card.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's cover those guys last. Let's go to the bottom of the card.
Yes. Oh, look at that. That first fight is even killer. So you got the Black Diamond, the Black Jaguar, Carlos Ulberg, Izzy's one of Izzy's favorite training partners, against Nikolai Negromarenu, who is a beast. This is going to be rough.
Carlos, 31,
6'4". Yep. Negromareno's like 6 foot even, isn't he? Yeah, 4-inch height difference. But look at the records on both of them: 13-1 for Negromarenu out of Romania, and then I think like 7-1 or 6-1 for Ulberg. Oh man, these are double tough guys, man. I know that Izzy has been training hard with Ulberg. I probably lean Negromarenu, but I got to look more into it. It's a scary fight, though. Ulberg is a talented, scary big man, and that is.
What do the odds makers have this?
I'm very curious. They probably have Negromarenu, maybe slight favorite. Let's see. I could be wrong.
Trying to see where my mouse doesn't do what it's supposed to here on scroll.
I know that feeling.
Do you know that?
Yes, I do. Mouses aren't always agreeable like they should be. And as we're looking for it, we're going to see, but I would imagine those odds would be pretty darn close. It's got to be the next one after that then, right? Yeah, there we go. Wait, no, that's not it. That's the next card. You know, it's weird. For some reason, they're not showing odds because it would be before that. It would be before that UFC. Odds would have to be pretty close there. It's very odd how they wouldn't be showing UFC 281 odds here. But
here, yeah. No, let's see if we can find them somewhere else real quick.
Sure. My thought would be this. My thought would be probably Negromarenu slight favorite, although the length and the height of the Black Jaguar, Carlos Ulberg, is definitely going to be something for the Romanian to try to get around. Yeah, you got me curious. What are we thinking? We're only
I have a different one here. Let's see. Starting here, the odds are about even.
Pretty close to even, right? Slight favorite. Who's the minus and who's the plus? The minus, or the
plus is Ulberg.
So then, yeah, Negromarenu slight favorite. Yep, because I thought slight favorite to Nikolai Negromarenu. Great fight. That's going to be a barn burner. Both guys are killers. Next fight up in Saturday's card is going to be, and
this one's going to be a banger, Colin.
Let's see.
This card is just.
This is a sick card. Yeah. Oh, yeah, there we go. Montel Jackson, who we've interviewed before, who is on a killing streak. Julio Arce is a very tough guy, 18-5. Arce, is he coming off a couple of wins, or what is he?
One win.
Actually, he's been winning one and losing one in the UFC for a few years. Actually, he's got a winning record in the UFC. It looks like he might be like 5-3 in the UFC, coming off a good win in April against Daniel Gustavo Santos. He actually lost to Song Yadong, who's a tough guy. Montel Jackson, though, I think has been doing even better. Montel Quick Jackson is 11-2. Yeah, he beat JP Bays. He beat Jesse Strader. He did lose to Brett Johns, who was an absolute killer that ended up in Bellator. I don't know why they didn't keep Brett Johns signed, but Montel Jackson is 5-1, 4 or 5-1 in the UFC. I think Montel wins this fight. Arce's a tough guy, but I think Montel Jackson wins this fight. He's probably favored a bit, but that should be a banger. They're too talented.
Oh, that's going to be a banger.
Young guys, 100%. That's for sure. Then we have Michael Trizano, who's a tough guy. Seung-Woo Choi, the Lone Wolf's a tough guy. We've interviewed him. He had a good streak going for a minute, but he is coming off a loss, I'm pretty sure. Or am I wrong? Let's take a look. Yes, he is. Yeah, he's coming off of 2 losses, actually. So this is an important fight with his back against the wall. He beat Luis Pena and Joe Giannetti. He lost to Grant Dawson, which everyone does. He beat Ludovic Klein and then lost to Hakeem Dawodu and Lucas Almeida. No shame in that. But he needs a win. The Lone Wolf really needs this win.
But that win against Ludovic, I don't think he's in danger of losing his contract because of that win against Ludovic.
Maybe not, but you're on a 2-fight losing streak, and it just depends where.
He's 50% right now in the UFC.
If this is the last fight on his contract, Adam, if it was another 3-fight contract and he loses 3 out of those 3, he's probably out. But wow, same thing for the other guy. Seung-Woo Choi on a 2-fight losing streak after having won 3 in a row. Yeah, he beat Suman.
Yeah, but he lost against Alex Caceres and
Josh Kulabau. That was a split. That was a close fight. Yeah, that was a close fight.
I don't think either of these guys are in danger of losing their contract. I'll be frank with you. I just don't think they are.
I hope not. Although losing 3 out of 3 in the UFC, I will say 75% of people that do that lose their contract.
But you have to to look at the wins
They're
that they
tough
have
guys.
too.
They do have
I mean,
wins. They do
like,
have wins. That's true. It's not like they just came in and lost 3 immediately. You're right. Yeah. So you never know. They're both tough
Sungwon
guys.
Choi, a win against Julian Rosa
and beat Yusuf Zalal.
Yusuf Zalal. Yeah, no, I think.
Yeah.
I think you realize as a matchmaker, hey,
and that last one was a split.
Guys.
I'd say this: Trezano's in more danger of losing his contract than Choi. This is a tough fight.
I just don't feel like they're really in danger at all.
I hope not. I hope not. I don't want to see anyone lose their job.
And that's about 1.5 to 1.
So the minus is Choi, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So Choi slight favorite as expected there, and you never know. I think Trezano could win that fight. I'd have to look more into it, but that is going to be a banger. When both fighters have 2 losses in a row, they're going to be fighting hard. I know you agree with that.
Absolutely. And I want to go ahead and shout out to whoever's in here. Hello. Thank you for swinging on by. I have a quick question here. Should I keep growing the beard out or should I shave it? Drop a comment here for us. Let me know what you think about the beard, but also all the card this last weekend. Give us your opinion on any of the fights that you absolutely loved and any matchups coming up here this weekend that you are really excited for. Let us know in the comments. We appreciate that. And we appreciate you guys just being here. Today it's Colin and I just breaking down the cards and going over what happened and what will happen.
Yep, UFC 281 pay-per-view. Next fight up, it looks like, is going to be
Carolina Kowalski and Silvana Gomez.
Oh, KK they call her. Carolina Kowalkiewicz or Kowalkiewicz. Yep. The Polish girl who finally got back on the win streak, looking like she was going to retire for a minute, and now she's got Silvana Gomez Juarez. So Carolina Kowalkiewicz, 37 years old. She was on a 5-fight losing streak, I believe. Take a look and see.
But then she
did beat Felice Herrig, who then retired promptly. And that was that 2 years ago or was that this year? No,
that was this year.
Was it 22? Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that was in June.
Yeah,
that wasn't that long ago.
So we're gonna see. I mean, Felice Herrig was had kind of one leg out the door anyway, kind of. So that may not have been the biggest thing to prove winning that fight, although Felice was always tough. So Silvana Gomez Juarez is 1-2 in the UFC. However, she is coming off a good knockout over Na Liang. And so this is gonna be a tough fight. How old is Silvana? She's they're both 37 years old. The funny thing is that Carolina's 37, but she's been in the UFC since she was like 31. Silvana's 37, but she's only been in the UFC for like a year and a half. So I think she may be the hungrier of the two. The odds, what are the odds on that? It's got to be pretty close. I would bet
that's pretty much dead even.
Is it? Yeah, that's what I thought. It's so hard to know. There's no way to know there. I would think maybe
one of the odds makers, one of the offbeat odds makers has minus Carolina as the dog.
As the dog plus money on Wowie.
But barely. I mean, it's
like 110 plus 110 or plus 105.
Not even.
Wow.
But the favorite is 132 on that. So it's kind of a weird setup on that one.
Yeah, it's so hard to know. Who knows what's going to happen in that fight? But I think it's going to be a banger. They're tough girls. They're both tough girls for sure.
Now this next one, the odds makers have a little heavy for me for a couple of them, but oh wow, one of the odds makers has it for Vola as a dog, almost 3 times dog. Oh wow, that doesn't even make sense for this next fight. Okay, we'll go over that in a second. Yeah. I'm I almost have to laugh. I'm not even going to say which sports book it is because it's so far off. Right. So this fight
it might be a betting opportunity. So we're looking at Matt Frivola, Otman Izatar.
Yeah.
So let me give people the story here. Matt Frivola is a very, very, very tough fighter. He has beat most people, but he does have a couple losses. His last fight, he did beat Gennaro Valdez. Before that, he did lose to Terrence McKinney and then Arman Sarukian. Both guys are absolute killers. Before that, he beat Luis Pena. He beat Jalen Turner. Jalen is streaking now. And so that was kind of a younger Jalen Turner 3 years ago. But Frivola is a very, very tough guy. Now, switch over. Now, he's what, 28 now? 30? He's still pretty young.
It's 32.
32, still fairly young. Otman Izatar, let me see if I can refresh your guys'
32
memory.
Also, so 5'7".
Right, let me refresh your memories here. His last fight was 2020. You know why? people might not remember this. Otman Izatar was a golden boy. He was going to be fighting at an event, I think near the end of 2020 or the first month of 2021 in the United Arab Emirates. Someone broke through UFC security and got to the fighter hotel, where it was absolutely considered illegal to trespass unless you had an ID badge. Someone scaled the ledge to get into his room or suite and gave him something, and he acknowledged knowing the person as like a teammate or something, and he, I think, was banned for a year and a half from the UFC.
Yeah, it was COVID compliant stuff, and
yes.
It was just a zero
tolerance,
tolerance,
and also no one's supposed to be sneaking around in a place that's off limits.
God, I'm glad we're done with that, Colin.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I'm not really worried about the COVID thing at all. The whole thing there was that it was like a small, secure area where this fight island, and the prince and everyone made this like ID only.
I mean, at the end of the day, everybody was freaking out and afraid. We look back at it now, and it's already almost kind of like a joke and laughable. But you know, then the world didn't necessarily know, and people were taking their precautions, and it was zero tolerance policy.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Hey,
but I also,
rules were broken.
Right, but I also think it was like, you know, Izatar is Arabic fighter, and I think that just the disrespect that the prince felt that he showed over there in the United Arab Emirates to have someone do that, or to know someone who would do that. So he was booted for about a year and a half. It is what it is. But the bottom line is that was definitely a no.
It was a UFC decision. I mean, I'm not saying politics didn't play into it. I don't know, probably did, but realistically, it's just you went against what Uncle Dana said absolutely needed to happen, and they didn't listen.
Right, and I think also the partners of the UFC in the United Arab Emirates were extremely angry as well. And so that was a no-no. But the man is back. Now, here's a question. He's 32 years old. Let's go back to Otman Izatar.
Give me a second here.
Sure, no problem.
Give me a second here.
Okay, he's way down near the bottom of the screen.
All right, let's do this.
And so they're both 32, I think you said, right? So Izatar, how often had he been fighting before that? Like twice a year?
Yeah, a little less than that, but he
less than that.
Only had 2 fights in the UFC before that.
Okay, so there's two things. He only had 2 fights in the UFC. He had only been fighting once a year anyway. And so now he's had 2 years off. Yeah, what am I saying? A year and a half. I think it was that was since his last fight.
Averaged about twice a year over the years.
So he's had 2 years off. So here's the question. They always say that a younger fighter getting a couple years off is not always bad, and frequently it's good. They heal up their joints, everything. They do say, though, that a fighter in their mid-30s or older, it's not a good thing. He's kind of in between, 32 years old. He's been off since he was 30. It's going to be very interesting because he's got to have some rust, but the guy was absolutely killing it. I agree with you. I don't think he should be a huge favorite. We don't know what he has, what he's been doing the last 2 years, and I think Frevola is a hungry, tough fighter. But let's go to the odds. I have a feeling you're implying that they have Izatar minus 300 or minus 400 or something.
Minus about 500, 455 for the opening.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna lay that on a 32-year-old fighter who's been off for 2 years. And not only that, you pointed out a good thing. He only had 2 UFC fights.
And this is only in one book, so I mean,
what do the other books have?
Even.
Oh, the other books have it even?
Yes.
And one book has it minus. Wow. So you can actually get Matt Frevola. What is that? Plus 290 or 300?
Yeah, plus 300.
That doesn't make any sense. The books look at each other, and you very rarely see an outlier like that. In fact, I'm not encouraging gambling, but I have a feeling if we approach that book, they're not going to offer that line. I have a feeling somehow the line isn't updated or something's wrong with that book. I don't even think I've heard of them. But yeah, that's very rare. You're almost never in sports betting going to see 3 books have a fight even money and then one book have it.
That's why I was just like, I don't know that I even want to mention this because it's just
no point would advertise for them anyway. But look around, I guess. But no, but even so, that's interesting. So with the odds being even, Matt is such a nice guy. I'd like to see Matt win that fight. Nothing against Azatar. But Ottman is a tough, scary guy. Wouldn't be surprised if he went in. I mean, he's basically, I think his last 6 or 7 fights have been knockouts. So he's a dynamic, explosive fighter. But Matt Frivola is a rugged, talented guy, too. That's going to be a tough fight. That's important for both of them. Izatar wants to get back on track after 2 years. And Frivola wants to just add another win to his record and continue his ascension. So that is going to be a great fight. Next up, Andrei Petrovsky, our friend. We had him on the show. I'm not saying that we're personal friends with him because we're not, but we've had him on the show a few times. He's a really cool dude. He came off the win being a big underdog against that Diaz fighter, Nick Maximov, who I think has been released from the UFC. But Petrovsky is a tough dude. Wellington Turman is coming off a win after a couple losses, isn't he? Can we click on both of them? Maybe start with Turman. Okay, Petrovsky, that's fine. Yeah, Petrovsky's 31 years old, 6 feet tall.
I'm breaking rules.
No problem. 6 feet. Yeah, that's all right. Your prerogative. You're the producer. So we're starting with Petrovsky coming off that great win over Nick Max. So he's on a 3-fight win streak. Petrovsky is a double tough dude. 6 feet tall, and he's fighting at 170 or 85. 85, I think. Can you look up a little higher? No, it's 70. No, 85. Yeah, 185. Wellington Turman did fight for a while at 170. Is at 185 now. Yeah, I mean, Petrovsky is double tough. Very, stocky guy. At 6 feet, he might even be a shade under.
3 finishes in a row. So yeah, I mean, all of his UFC wins are finishes.
That's right. He's on a great streak in the UFC. Turman has not been as impressive. He's a little younger. At 26, a little bit shorter, I think, but pretty close. Okay, 2 wins in a row, though, for Turman. Although the Sam Alvey fight, I had Sam Alvey beating Turman. Yeah. That was a split decision. I think that was a gift decision for Alvey against Misha Serkinov, who Misha came down in weight to 85 and looks like he had nothing.
Before I flip to the odds, who do you think has this one? In my mind, this is
Petrovsky, Andre.
I would think he'd be the favorite big time.
He would have to be.
He is about 2-1.
Yeah. Well, that's what I thought. Yeah, Petrovsky should win that fight. Honestly, Turman has looked better. Turman, I think, has started to train with Glover Teixeira, and you got Alex Pereira there as well. If I may be wrong, but I don't think so. And he looks like he's kind of getting better, but I just think that Petrovsky is a totally real, legit, tough guy, and I think he gets that fight. So it's going to be a tough fight, though. These are some bangers, man. These are definitely some bangers. Erin Blanche, against Meatball Molly McCann. Molly has been killing it fighting in front of her hometown fans, or home country fans in England. She is like Molly McCann 2.0, but it's been pretty much in England. I think 2 out of her last 3 wins have been in England. Now she's going to be in New York City. Good 3 wins. Erin Blanchfield has been big sistering the shit out of girls. Look at that.
I know, pretty crazy.
Look at that. She's got 6-fight win streak, 3 of them in the UFC. She beat Miranda Maverick, Sarah Alpar, and then her last fight was against JJ Aldrich, who she subbed. This is going to be bloody. This is going to be rough. Both of these girls are absolute beasts. They're really tough, strong women. And I would say Blanchfield slight favorite or no?
Blanchfield slight favorite?
Am I
no,
wrong?
She's a big favorite.
What's it minus?
Minus 425. Plus 300 to...
Wow, they're not giving Meatball Molly any chance in this?
No.
And she's coming off a 3-fight win streak.
Yep.
Erin Blanchfield is very impressive. Blanchfield is one of the better wrestlers of female fighters.
You know what? I'm throwing 20 on this one for Molly. I think it's closer. I think it's worth the risk on this one. Yeah. I'm going to throw 20 on it.
I do too. I mean, the takedown defense is going to be key because on the feet, Molly is the better striker. But Blanchfield is tough. Blanchfield's so young too. I think. Can you look at the ages? I think Blanchfield's like 23. Yeah, 23, and she's already 9-1 in her MMA career. 32 for Meatball Molly. Yeah, Meatball doesn't have any time for any more losses. She's 13-4, 32 years old. Molly, that would be a big setback. Molly's going to fight her heart out, and I think she beats Erin Blanchfield. Although be careful because Erin Blanchfield is double tough. Then we got Dominic Reyes back in action against Ryan Spann. This is an interesting fight. Both guys have several losses. However, Spann is on a win streak. I think at least 2 fight. No,
just one.
No, he beat Ian Cutelaba, lost to Lionheart Anthony.
That was one I called and you got wrong. I won't forget that one.
Yeah, I think you could have been right.
I was like, I told you.
Yep. And then he beat Misha Serkinov, lost to Johnny Walker, beat Sam Alvey, beat Devin Clark, beat Antonio Rogerio Nogueira. Wow, so he is like 6-2 in the UFC, but in his last several fights, it's been win one, lose one. 31 years old, he's 6'5", and definitely cuts weight. His opponent, the Devastator, 32 years old, he's on a losing streak. He looked so good for his first several years in the league. He looked good against John Jones, like really good. A lot of people, including myself, felt he may have deserved the decision against John Jones. He didn't get it. Jan Blachowicz then just starched him, and then Yuri Prokaska starched him. So I think you will not disagree with me this time. His back is a bit against the wall.
Yeah, his is against the wall.
There's too many good guys in the light heavyweight division to have a fighter on a 4.
At the same time, this is one of those that I am kind of like, he's had enough wins against guys that are still in there, but he's got some that are...
The division is really deep. That's the thing. The division is so deep.
Yeah,
they don't
wins
need
that
to
he
keep
has,
around a guy with 4 losses.
The wins that he has,
they're good. They're impressive.
Yeah, not really anymore.
Not that much.
Not anymore.
No, they're not. You're right. Because he went over an undersized Chris Weidman, a bunch of other people. The Jones fight was still the most impressive. Anyway, you want to see the odds on that? I'm curious to see. They're definitely going to have. They're definitely going to have Spann the favorite.
No, he's not.
No.
So it's almost about
minus 230.
Minus 2 for Reyes.
I'd say Spann is live. I don't know. You're making a guy with a 3-fight lose. The one thing is this: his 3-fight losing streak has been against killers, has been against absolute killers. His opponent's been going win one, lose one against mediocre guys. So I guess I can see that, but I'm not going to lay. I can't, in good conscience, lay money on Dominic Reyes, who's lost 3 fights in a row. But then I don't know whether I'd want to bet Ryan Spann. That's going to be a tough fight. Reyes needs the win. Reyes needs 100%. The win. But then again, Spann's not a super young guy either.
Let's cruise through the next few, and then we can get up to the Coco and co-main.
Sure. Okay, Brad Riddell, another teammate of Israel Adesanya. He looked so great for so long. He came up against a couple guys that just couldn't handle the jump in competition. Renato Carneiro also has been. Can you click on Carneiro just real quick to make sure? Oh yeah, Carneiro. I'm thinking of Moicano. So Carneiro, Renato Carneiro. Oh yeah, he has Moicano. Both of these guys have had several losses as well as wins. I'm with Brad Riddell. I'm with Brad Riddell here. Brad Riddell, I still think
I am too, actually, on that one.
Yeah, okay. So Brad Riddell over Renato Moicano. Dan Hooker is such a cool dude. He's fighting. His teammates are on this card. Israel Adesanya, Carlos Ulberg, Brad Riddell, all the fun. All of these guys are fighting in the same card, the Aussies. He's such a positive dude, but I don't think Dan Hooker's won a fight in about 2 years, has he? If you want to check really quick. He's probably lost 4 out of 5, I think.
Yeah,
he has. He lost 4 out of 5. His last win was a year and a half ago. He did look good against Hack Prep, but look who he lost against.
Right.
Arnold Allen. He tried to drop in weight and he got smashed.
Islam Makhachev,
the champ. Michael Chandler, Dustin Poirier. So
I mean, he's up there. He can probably afford to lose this one. But he's going to be on thin ice, being that he's going up against...
Whereas, Claudio Puelles, the younger guy, 26 years old. So Puelles is on his... Wow. Puelles is 5-1 in the UFC. He lost to Martin Bravo. He beat Felipe Silva, who I don't know who that is. He beat Mariano. He beat Jordan Levitt. He beat Gritzmacher. Beat a 40-year-old Clay Guida. So you have a guy who's been beating a bunch of guys who are over the hill. with all respect, are not that great against a guy who's been losing to absolute killers. I think Dan Hooker. I
do too.
Hooker needs that, though. Hooker can't lose. He's already looked at now as a gatekeeper, and if he loses to Claudio Puelles, he's in trouble. Frankie Edgar, oh my God, this is the last fight. Edgar's fighting in New York in front of his hometown fans. He's got to be 40, 41 years old. Not a good age to be when you're fighting at 135 or 145 pounds. Edgar is such a beast. Let's look at Chris Gutierrez really quick. His record, Gutierrez. Yeah, to the right. There you go. So Gutierrez, 31 years old, El Guapo. And he's coming off a win over Dana Batgaray. He beat split decision, barely beat Felipe Diaz-Colares. Had to go to a decision over Andre Ewell. I mean, this fight is winnable for Frankie Edgar. It's going to be deafening in there with the fans screaming for Frankie Edgar. He has said this is his last fight, win or lose. Technically, on paper, he probably shouldn't win this fight, but I don't think that the guy that he's going up against is a world beater. Although that victory over a very tough Dana Batgaray, Gutierrez is a tough guy. Edgar is a legend. He's lost
absolute legend, but
he's lost 6 out of his last 7 fights, I think, or 6 out of 8. 4 out of 6 he's lost, 5 out of 7, and 6 out of 9. I think Frankie can do it. What are the odds going to show? I'm so curious.
This one I'm really curious on.
Probably Edgar, slight favorite.
Actually, no, slight dog.
2-1 Gutierrez. Yeah, I mean, you know what? I don't know. I don't think I'm going to bet that fight except maybe $10 on Edgar because I hope he wins. And when $10 he wins, will not bet anything. Although I'm not encouraging high betting, but yeah, on paper, Gutierrez should win. But I think Edgar maybe can pull it out and. He's going to try real hard.
All right, so here's my question. And we have a few fights in here to go real quick.
Fights, yep.
But for all the fights on this card, and you know the co-main and Coco and then the main, right?
Yeah.
So out of all the fights on this card, which one do you think is going to be fight of the night?
Wow. Carla is going to really wrestle Weili Zhang, and a lot of people are not excited enough about ground control to call that fight of the night. So I don't think it'll be the co-main, the women's strawweight title. I don't think. Adesanya Pereira or Poirier Chandler. I think it's going to be Poirier Chandler. Adesanya is a very measured, skillful tactician and a tricky guy, and I think he's going to employ those tactics to make it an interesting fight, but not necessarily a barn burner. A lot of Israel's fights are not barn burners, although some are, and he's a tremendous talent. Yeah, I think the fight of the night, if it's going to be of those 3 fights, is going to be the Diamond Dustin Poirier against Iron Michael Chandler. So I
think that's a good contender, but I'm going to throw out there, I think the opening fight of the night is going to get fight of the night.
That would be, and it could. I thought we were just including those 3.
No.
Okay, then I think it could be. Although I still probably say Poirier.
I think it's going to be a contender between those 2. I really do, and it's very odd and rare to see an opening fight. But this card is stacked.
It really is stacked, and it's a good pay-per-view. Dustin Diamond Poirier, 33 years old, 28-7. Let's look at his last 5 or 6 fights here. He did get choked out. Or tapped by Charles Oliveira, no shame in that. 2 good wins over Conor McGregor. Beat Dan Hooker. Did get choked or tapped again by the rear naked choke by Habib. And before that was on a killing streak, beating Max Holloway, Eddie Alvarez, Justin Gaethje, Anthony Pettis, and Jim Miller. Wow. Okay. So his only losses were by submission. Although Habib had just got that top position and got behind him, as did, I think, his last loss to Charles Oliveira. Chandler, let's look at Chandler. Chandler, 36? Is that?
Yep, he's 36.
He's older, so he's older. Chandler,
23-7, and his last fight, it was a win against Ferguson.
Ferguson, that great front kick.
Yep.
Front teep kick knockout. Before that, he lost a fight very close to Justin Gaethje. Charles Oliveira, he had him hurt. Oliveira came back and finished him. Before that, he beat Dan Hooker.
And Charles went on beast mode on that one. That one I was not expecting.
No. And then he beat Benson Henderson and Sydney. I think I think Dustin is. Oh, Dustin is a better jiu-jitsu guy. Chandler's the better wrestler. And the striking is going to be so interesting because you know how Chandler strikes, Adam? Chandler's a stocky, short, muscular wrestler with a lot of power, right? His boxing technique is pretty decent for a UFC fighter, but if you see him, you'll say, "Oh, I know that guy. That guy was a wrestler." You can tell by his striking that he was a wrestler. He's got some technique. He's got a lot of power, and he looks for that right hand to land. And if he hits you once, he can flatten you, but he doesn't have such a diverse repertoire. Dustin Poirier has been a guy who's been boxing probably for like 15 years. His boxing technique is really, really good, but his chin's been checked a couple times, but then no one stopped him that way. I thought someone had stopped him, but the last time someone did stop him, Conor McGregor stopped him like 10 years ago at featherweight, and Dustin had no reason to be at featherweight. This fight is so important, man. In all honesty, the winner of this fight should absolutely be in line behind Beneil Dariush. Beneil should be first in line. I know Islam's gonna fight Volkanovski, champion versus champion. I think, as many people do, it should be Beneil Dariush first. But the winner of that fight has got to fight Beneil Dariush, and my feeling is the winner of the fight of whoever wins between Volkanovski and Islam after they fight Dariush, the winner of this fight is in line for the title then. So
and I think the odds makers have this one right here, Colin. I think it's definitely Poirier.
I don't know. I was not going to say that. I was going to say maybe slightly even with maybe Chandler slight favorite, but it looks like not. What do they have? Anywhere from minus 175 to minus 210 Poirier? Is that it?
Minus 220, but yeah.
The funny thing is that Poirier hasn't been stopped on strikes since he lost to Conor, like I said, 8 or 9 years ago. Chandler did just get stopped on strikes by Oliveira. So I think that's the concern. I agree with that. So let me ask you this, Adam. Chandler is definitely the better wrestler than Poirier. They're both good strikers, but Poirier is a jiu-jitsu black belt, and Chandler is probably barely a brown belt or probably a purple belt. If you're Chandler, if you start getting outstruck on the feet and pieced up by Poirier, are you going to try to take down a jiu-jitsu black belt?
Absolutely.
You are. Right?
Absolutely.
And I think that what he's going to want to do is take him down though and not sit in Dustin's
Listen,
guard.
if Chandler ends up winning this, which I don't think he's going to, I think he's going to get caught. I think it is going to end up in a submission. First off, I'm going to say that. I think that's how this is going to go. But Chandler is he's one of the few out there that does what I talk about, that outside ankle pick. If he goes for it, gets it, and he literally comes down with the appropriate ground and pound straight off of that high pick, he'll come down hard and win, and he's done that a couple times.
Yeah, he has.
So I think out of all the people to do it, he's one of the few that can. And I'm not betting on this one, honestly, but I think the odds makers still have it right. I think Poirier is still going to catch Chandler. I think that's how it's going to play out. I think he's going to catch him. It's going to be a submission. It'll probably be in the third round.
Interesting. I don't know. I as of right now, I'm just a little bit leaning Chandler. I hate to do it because I really have always been a big Poirier fan. Chandler,
if he wants to stand and bang it out, though, Poirier's he's gonna win. That's
probably so.
Unless
Chandler can just catch him with a big overhand right. Yeah. Well, Poirier's technically.
Yeah. Well, we've taken enough time on this one. Let's head on over to the co-main.
Right. So Weili Zhang, if you want to go take a look, or Zhang Weili.
She's 33, 5'4", 22-3. She has actually been doing quite well. Over
at Fight Ready.
2 losses against one person, Rose Namajunas, and
she's won.
That's
all
like her kryptonite is Rose.
Yeah, Rose. Although that split decision was very close, I did think Rose deserved the win, but some people felt Weili deserved the win. Anyway, great wins over everyone else. She's now training at Fight Ready with Henry Cejudo, or at least she was. I think she may still be there, although I saw some training clips, and I didn't see Cejudo there. But Carla Esparza, the Cookie Monster, 2-time strawweight champion, the only one of the only 2-time strawweight champions. I think Rose Namajunas is a 2-time strawweight champion, but Carla only the second 2-time strawweight champion. Over there with Team Colin Oyama, a great guy we've interviewed several times.
I did call her win over Rose right here on this
me
show.
Too.
Just
we both
so everybody
did.
knows.
We both had Carla.
We were calling for Carla, and about everybody else was thinking that we were crazy and stupid. And it's like, nah,
she got
this one.
It was close. It was close. We interviewed her, I think, only 5 or 6 months or 3 months before that. Yep.
That being said, styles make fights. While I think Weili lost against Rose and Esparza beat Rose, I think this one's going to Weili, man.
I'm against you. I think Carla can control it with the wrestling. Weili Zhang has not fought anyone with wrestling like Carla Esparza, unless I'm wrong. Let's take a look. Joanna Jędrzejczyk is a striker. Rose Namajunas is not a wrestler. Jessica Andrade can do a little bit of wrestling, and Tisha Torres is not a wrestler. Daniel Taylor, someone. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Bottom line is that my point is illustrated. Weili Zhang has never fought a woman who has wrestling skills like Carla Esparza. It's going to be a tough fight. If Carla cannot get the takedowns, then she gets pieced up badly. So it's going to be tough. But I think Carla can do it. I bet you they have Weili favored. Am I right?
Oh, yeah, big time.
Wow. Is that minus 300 something? And
minus 400 and plus 300.
Wow. No, I'll put
Carla is a dog. I mean, that's a good one to go for another 20 on the dog.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I think that's a good one. I may even parlay those two just for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
But
I think Carla's live, but she's gonna have to get those takedowns.
Yep. All right, so let's go to the main. It's Alex Pereira against Israel Adesanya.
Yeah. So first of all, how important is it to you, Adam, that a guy who I think is like 31 years old now lost in his mid-20s in kickboxing to a guy twice? Does that mean this guy is going to be in his head now that Israel...
100%. I think this is going to make a big difference in the way this plays out. This is one of the few losses that has been impactful.
2 losses against the same guy.
It's gonna mess with his head. I think this is one where it's really gonna mess with his head. Stepping in there, it's gonna be just like his Israel's fight against having a brain fart right now against Jan. Yeah, totally different mindset, but I think that was recent enough within the last year and a half that it's going to bring back those memories of loss and just really create that heartache. And when he steps in there, I think he is going to have a little bit of an edge. And also, no, it's not like Izzy has a huge skill set outside of kickboxing. He just doesn't.
No.
He's not horrible on the ground. He's proved that in a couple of his fights.
He's got more jiu-jitsu than wrestling. That's true.
Yeah.
But his defensive wrestling is good, but Pereira's going to have no interest in taking him down. So here's my question to you. Not just a question. I'll put it as a statement and a question. Since those losses, Israel Adesanya has come into his own. Back then, it was before he was at his physical prime. Men don't hit their physical prime in combat sports usually until they're 28, 29, and those fights were certainly before he was that old. Since then, he has become the man that he is now, very confident. He is the one with the MMA experience, twice as many fights in MMA, several more years fighting MMA than Pereira. They're fighting with smaller gloves. And this is also a chance for Izzy to get revenge on Pereira. The one thing that I wonder is Izzy hasn't felt the desire to try to grapple at all with any of his previous opponents. But I think...
You think you're going to see it here?
I wonder. I think he should. I think he should.
I think he has to.
He has to, probably. You know what, though?
I think
will his ego get the best of him, though, and stop him from doing that?
Yeah, it's going to, but he has to. If he wants to win this one, he's
got to mix it.
The odds makers have him as a favorite in this one. I think that's the exact opposite. I'm actually going to go with Pereira on this one.
Wow.
I'm going to put him in the parlay with Carla and Molly. Molly
Okay.
Meatball.
2
McCann,
dogs, 3 dogs.
Yeah,
You're gonna
three
put
dogs.
3 dog parlay, 3 dog night.
A 3-dog night, 3-dog parlay, and we're gonna go ahead and see what we can do with this. I'm doing it for shits and giggles, everybody.
Yeah.
But don't take any of my betting advice. I'm going for this. Alex Pereira, I think, is really gonna win this one. I'm actually confident in that. I don't think Izzy's gonna be able. He just doesn't have a strong enough ground game. He does have one, but I don't think it's strong enough against his arch rival in kickboxing. So, Colin, that's it for me. What's your pick?
I got Adesanya. I think Adesanya is going to turn him away. I think with
You think he's going to school him on MMA?
I think so. Okay. I think he's going to be sharper. He's more tricky. He's more confident. I think he's going to the lighter gloves, I think, are going to allow him to put his hands on and possibly bust up Pereira. Pereira looks like he's got some scar tissue. Izzy like hardly any. And I think Izzy might even come in with some clinches and bring in some elbows and knees in the clinch. Maybe not go to the ground, but I think Izzy can win this fight. I think that the low odds on Izzy here. What is he like? Minus 130 or 150 or something?
It's almost minus 180.
Minus 180.
Yeah.
Okay, so normally Izzy is going to be like minus 260, minus 360 something. So I think these are really good odds that you may never see again on an Israel Adesanya fight. I like it, but it's going to be a war.
Absolutely. Well, hey, Colin, it's been another great episode. We've actually gone longer tonight than we were actually even intending. But hey, you know what? It's been a great time with you and everybody here hopping in, trying to call us Canadians. Hey, I'm okay with that. I love Canadians. They're some of my favorite people.
That's right,
eh? Drop us in the comments, and I'm going to go back and look on each of the platforms and see if anybody can tell me whether I need to shave this beard or grow it out. Let me know one way or another. I want to hear your feedback on that. That's the single most important question in the world right now. And if you're not telling me, I'm wondering what's wrong with you guys. Also, make sure to give us some loves and shares. We love all the interactions, engagement, and everybody let Colin know if he needs to grow his hair out like a hippie and have it down to his shoulders.
There we go. Yeah, should I grow a long hippie hair and maybe a big gray beard? And if I gain some weight, a little bit more weight, I'll look like Santa Claus.
That or
awesome.
Here's the other option. Okay, for Colin's haircut. Okay, and if you guys vote for this, he's going to do it. Okay, so he's going to get a buzz cut on the side and he's going to have the raised stripes.
Oh, yeah, I think my barber could do that. He does some haircuts.
I'm sure your barber's probably brilliant with that.
Yeah, I think you're right. Well, we'll see. I'll consider that. But remember, Dr. Adam Roorda said it.
No, he told me before the show, guys. Don't let him convince you otherwise. He told me before the show, if you guys go in and vote for race stripes and you vote at least 7-1 and you share this 150 times altogether, he will go ahead and do this. Okay? You guys have to do that. And you know what? It'll be fun. Colin, no, seriously, it's been another great episode. This episode was brought to you by none other than Lith Token, LITH token.io. Head on over, check it out. Also, crosstrainedmmafighter.com. Check it out. And Colin, I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. I'm tapping out.
Excellent. Thank you so much for all you do, Adam Roorda. It was a great time chatting with you and going over everything tonight. Always appreciate your insight and going over the recap from last week's fights and this week's fight. Next week, Miranda Maverick and possibly one or two other fighters or prominent people in the MMA world. So look out for a great show next week with guests. Thank you so much, everybody. Guys and girls, go out and spread the love in a positive way. Be that guy and be that girl that does that helps give someone a kind word and let people know you care about them. It's hard times and it's a cold winter, it looks like already. Be good to yourself. Take good care of your animals. The love you get back from them is a millionfold and you know, is so deserved. And, you know, make sure they have fresh water, fresh food, and medical care. They really need it, especially if your animals are older. So that's about it. Thank you so much for joining us. Tell a friend, share, like, whatever you can do. If you want to contribute something to our budget too, that would be awesome. That's about it. So thank you so much, everybody. Again, really appreciate you. For the entire team here at the MMA Power Hour, this is Colin Crandall, and for tonight, I am tapping out.